Hello beautiful people, and welcome to another video by me, Baker Berry, the berry that bakes. Today I'm going to be going over the top 7 strongest epic cookies. So if you're a new player or starting off, or you're just in the middle looking to figure out which cookies to really invest in, this video is exactly what you need. And make sure to stick around to the end where I go over the one cookie that can help you in every single game mode, the best of the best. So coming in first is Financier Cookie. Financier Cookie is the best defensive cookie in the game right now. Overall, Financier is easily the best. Financier is one of the only 2 cookies I've actually took the time to get up to plus 30 because she's that useful. Now, the reason why Financier is so good is because she can directly protect the cookie with the highest attack, as well as provide damage resist and healing to the entire team. If you have Financier on your team, she will almost always be the last cookie alive. Now, also on top of that, she boosts light type damage in skill area by a certain percent, up to 30% if you get up to plus 30. If you're building a light type team or have a light type cookie on your team that you want to protect, she goes like bread and butter with them. When it comes to building Financier Cookie, you want to go with Swift Chocolate cooldown so she can use her skill more often with a damage resist as substats. Now, if your Financier Cookie is having trouble staying alive, you want to focus on Almond then with cooldown substats. Coming in at number 2, and that is Parfait Cookie. Now, Parfait Cookie has fallen out of the arena, but in terms of PvE usability, she is still extremely high. So of course, with Mystic Flower release, that Beast Cookie is a better healer, but we're talking about epics, not some of the rarest cookies in the entire game. The reason why Parfait is so good is due to her candy skill. It allows her to convert excess healing to HP shield, and her healing is ridiculous. And on top of that, she provides debuff immunity, HP shield if the healing gets to maxed out, and she can provide healing whenever an ally deals crit damage. When it comes to building Parfait Cookie, you want to focus on cooldown with attack and damage resist substats. Now, the reason why I include damage resist, even though she's in the way back, is because occasionally enemy will sneak past or hit the entire group of cookies and she may be taking out. But that's only in certain stages. If you are working to just maximize her healing, you want to focus on attack and cooldown. Now, going into number 3, and this is the second healing cookie on the team, and that is Cream Puff. Cream Puff is the easiest cookie to get, and with her magic candy, she becomes so useful. With Cream Puff, upon using her skill, she will grant attack up buffs relative to her own crit percentage as of before the start of battle to all her allies. That means she increases the attack, and she can also increase the crit of cookies, which means a lot more damage being dealt. She also heals the entire health of the cookies. One use of her skill and you will see your cookies go from near death to practically completely alive. Cream Puff is one of the few cookies that are a support that can deal damage, and she's the best one at doing that. That's why so many times in Cookie Alliance, PvE, you will see her as the go-to support cookie. When it comes to building her, you want to focus on apple jelly as much as possible. So get that crit up. If you can get crit substats on top of the apple jelly, that's perfect. But the thing is, with her cooldown being so long, that's a secondary substat you want to focus on. So you really want to focus on crit first, cooldown second. And if she's having a hard time staying alive, which she usually doesn't, like I said, it's like similar to Parfait, where you might find a stage where the enemies attack all the cookies at once. You want to get a little bit of damage resist on there, but that's not really going to be a normal thing. Now, going into number 4, and this is a personal favorite of mine, Rebel Cookie. Rebel Cookie is the first cookie on this list without a magic candy. He was released much more recently than the other 3 I started off with, and the reason why Rebel Cookie is so useful is because of his skill. Now, if we take a look at Rebel Cookie's skill, he increases the allies' crit percentage and provides an HP shield for them upon using his skill, which further boosts the crit teams that have been coming out en masse nowadays. The electric teams that have been coming out with Stormbringer, Twizzly in them have all been focused on crit. Rebel Cookie just further serves as a means to increase that. And the best reason why Rebel Cookie is so useful is this right here. He can decrease the defense of the enemy target by 14% for 14 seconds and stack it up to 6 times. That's 84% less defense. And on top of that, he increases the damage vulnerability by up to 60% by all damage. That's a lot of math that I can't do in my head, but I can tell you that it massively increases the damage dealt to the enemy. Red Velvet Dragon, he's the go-to. Cookie Alliance, he's the go-to. The current Beast Raid, he's the go-to. Arena one-shot teams, he's the go-to. A lot of PvE teams where you just want to wipe through bosses and enemies, he's the go-to. Rebel Cookie is amazing. I can't speak on it enough. Now, when it comes to toppings, there's actually quite a few different ways to build Rebel Cookie, but primarily you're going to be going one of these two ways. And it's either going to be chocolate cooldown or actually raspberry. I've been experimenting with crit percentage on him just to see how it works, and it hasn't been working well, so don't do that. But when it comes to cooldown and raspberry, you're going to either want to focus on two things. Cooldown, because he gets to use his skill more often to inflict more debuffs and keep himself and the team alive easier. Raspberry, because he can deal a bit more damage and he can also inflict a higher shield for the team. If you guys like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button so I can continue to bring you top Cookie Run videos. Now let's get back to the video. So number 5 is actually going to be Twizzly. Twizzly was all but useless until she got her magic candy, and oh boy did that propel her into stardom. What her magic candy does is that it applies a current charge above to electricity type cookies upon using her skill, and her electro jelly gun can deal more damage, stack zap debuffs, and increase crit damage. As you guys heard me mention earlier, there's been a big push towards crit focused teams. And as you guys can see here, the zap debuff can stack up to 5 times, and what that does is that it does a bit of damage to the enemy target, and it also stuns them a little bit. And on top of that, the current charge buff implies that the crit gets increased by 7.5% for 15 seconds. They can stack up to 2 times. And then if you come further down here, you can see she further boosts electricity type attack damage. If you are making an electric type team, Twizzly is a staple of that team. You can't have an electric team without Twizzly most of the time. She's not that useful in the arena because she's a bit too squishy, but she's the staple of Avatar Destiny. She is a big part of so many teams because there's been this big push towards crit focused electric type damage, and she is a core part of that build. Now, when it comes to building her, just like other electric type cookies, she's going to be scaling off of crit. So you just really want to get that crit as high as possible. And unlike other cookies I've mentioned on this list before, you're going to want to have the attack speed be the second stat you focus on. And so first substat, you want to go all attack speed. The reason why is because Twizzly actually scales off of attack speed. Now, coming in at number 6, and this was a personal favorite of mine when I first started playing this game because he carried me so far through the story, and that is Captain Caviar. Now, Captain Caviar was already very good without his magic candy, and then they for some reason decided to give him magic candy. I don't understand it, but I'm not complaining. When it comes to his magic candy, it basically just improves his original skill. It literally says Black Shark Torpedo Mark II. And what this does is that it has some more damage resist bypass, which is useful for PvP because damage resist bypass isn't needed in PvE. And on top of that, it just makes his hits deal more damage. Now, when it comes to building Captain Caviar, you're going to want to focus on all raspberry. Most of the time, he'll honestly be able to clear out a wave of enemies in one hit. So I'd say damage resist and cooldown kind of go hand in hand here. And it depends on what you need. If your Captain Caviar is having a harder time staying alive, go for the damage resist substat. But if he's staying alive just fine, you want to go for that cooldown substat so he can inflict his special more often. And now for number 7, and easily the best epic cookie in the entire game, Creme Brulee. When Creme Brulee was first released, he just destroyed so many metas. His skill allows him to increase his attack speed and deal a massive amounts of damage over a short time. And the reason why he's so useful is, as you can see here, he ignores damage resist when he has max Accelerando skill buffs. His Accelerando buff increases his attack speed and increases the amount of pieces that he shoots out with his skill. If you're battling against the Avatar of Destiny, if you're in Cookie Alliance, if you're in the arena, if you're in PvE, if you're fighting a boss, Creme Brulee is almost always the answer. You may have seen in the arena teams where there's 3 tanks, Creme Brulee, and a healing cookie. That's because Creme Brulee is all you need for offense most of the time. I made a video where I sent Creme Brulee alone against every boss in story mode, and he beat every boss except one. That's unheard of. I don't think there's a single other cookie that can do that. I honestly don't. Now, when it comes to building Creme Brulee, you're going to want to focus primarily on attack, similar to Captain Caviar, and also similar to Twizzly, is you're going to want to focus on attack speed substats, because Creme Brulee's skill is scaled off of attack speed. The more his attack speed gets, the more shots he can get off in a shorter amount of time. The quicker he can get back to using a skill, the more buffs he gets, and the process just keeps going on and on. And on top of that, if you can get a little bit of crit substat on there as well, that just increases the chance that he does crit damage. And also on top of that, if he's on a team that scales with crit, like a team with Cream Puff or Twizzly, like what you see in the Avatar of Destiny, his damage output is unheard of. So that's it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a comment below on what you liked about it and what else you want to see in the future. And make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so I can continue to bring you guys top cooking run content. Thank you guys for coming out, showing your support, and I'll see you in the next video.